Analog horror is definitely something that I feel like the majority of people have to know about, and even if you don't know specifically analog horror, you've probably seen something with the VHS effect before. And that's exactly what analog horror uses. Analog horror, to anyone who doesn't know, is basically a subgenre of horror that uses the vintage analog media to create an unsettling atmosphere. It really makes for some super creepy videos, and some of them are absolutely insane, not gonna lie. But out of all the ones I've watched, none of them compare to the Mandela Catalogue. This series, in my opinion, is the best analog horror series that's out there. Now, that's not saying that the other analog horror series that are out as well aren't good or even a close second, but the Mandela Catalogue, I think, is the best. And what I would say though is I think the Walton Files is easily a close second when it comes to the best. And I'll get into why exactly later in the video, but just know that most of the analog horror that's out now is really good, and they do an amazing job as well. But the Mandela Catalogue does something that outshines all the others. To fully understand why it's better, we have to dive into the story of the Mandela Catalogue, so let's get straight into it. The Mandela Catalogue is a psychological horror web series created by Alex Kister, which began in 2021. The series takes place in an alternate reality where strange and unsettling occurrences arise, primarily revolving around the mysterious entities called alternates. These alternates are humanoid beings that impersonate and replace people, often with violent and disturbing consequences. The series starts with a seemingly innocuous premise and an apparent string of disappearances and deaths, but quickly escalates as the true horror of these shape-shifting entities becomes clear. Presented in the form of distorted public service announcements, emergency broadcast, and found footage, the Mandela Catalogue builds its tension through a sense of unease and paranoia, exploring the themes of identity, reality, and the fear of the unknown. The story's title references the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where large groups of people falsely remember an event or detail, hinting that the distorted reality of the series might be an artifact of warped collective memory. Now, the alternates aren't the only threat in this universe, but they are definitely the most disturbing thing that hide inside of it. I'll get more specific about the alternates, but just note that there are other things besides these that makes the whole series interesting. In the Mandela Catalogue, the Archangel Gabriel is a mysterious and ominous figure, whose role is deeply tied to the terrifying events surrounding the alternates. Unlike the biblical Archangel Gabriel, who is often portrayed as a messenger of God, this version in the series embodies a darker, more sinister presence. He is introduced through cryptic messages and unsettling imagery, hinting that he may either be an agent of divine justice or something more malevolent. His appearances are marked by a strange, distorted visual and cryptic dialogue, which adds to the unsettling atmosphere of the series. Gabriel's true intentions and his connection to the alternates remain shrouded in a mystery, but his presence seems to suggest that the events unfolding in this distorted world are part of a much larger apocalyptic scenario. His name, invoking themes of prophecy and the supernatural, adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, leaving the audience to question whether he is a savior, a harbinger of doom, or something else entirely in the context of horrors the character in the face. In addition to Gabriel, the intruder is also one of the most unsettling and terrifying entities. He is introduced as a malevolent figure who invades the homes of unsuspecting victims where he steals children and there is no sign of them at all, often with an eerie sense of patience and persistence. The intruder's presence is marked by his distorted, grotesque appearance. His features are almost human but twisted in unnatural ways, emphasizing the sense that something is fundamentally wrong. His motivations remain unclear, but his method of haunting is deeply psychological, preying on the fear of invasion and the violation of personal space. The intruder often makes his appearances through grainy footage or distorted audio on television sets, applying this sense of dread and paranoia. His appearances raise questions about the boundaries between the physical and the supernatural, as well as the vulnerability of the characters who are forced to confront not only their fear of the unknown, but also the terrifying reality that no one is truly safe. A theory by MatPat suggests that the intruder is actually working against Gabriel by stealing kids at a young age so they can't become alternates when they're adults. Ever since the intruder started invading homes and stealing kids, a message was broadcast to get rid of TVs so that, your kids wouldn't be stolen, but it's so that he couldn't invade the homes, which then we learned that the broadcasts are actually being sent by something that is not human, which makes you wonder if Gabriel and the intruder are battling against each other. Now, on to the alternates, the main reason why this series is the most unsettling. The alternates are terrifying inhuman entities that serve as the central source of horror in the series. These beings are capable of mimicking human appearances with grotesque precision, often replacing individuals in subtle yet horrifying ways. Their presence is characterized by a distorted, uncanny resemblance to the person they impersonate, but with abnormal, unsettling features such as unnatural facial expressions or an eerie lack of emotion. This ability to mimic leads to widespread paranoia, as characters are left questioning who is truly human and who is an alternate. The alternates' motivations are unclear, but they seem to exist with a single goal: to infiltrate human society and cause chaos. They are often depicted as violent and malicious, manipulating their victims psychologically and physically. Their behavior is not entirely random, as they appear to target specific individuals, usually by exploiting weaknesses or fears. The unsettling part of their existence is that they seem to be linked to a warped reality, like a glitch in the fabric of existence itself, leading to the idea that the people's memories are experiences that are unreliable, as if the world around them is being rewritten by these dark entities. The alternates are central to the story's explanation of identity, paranoia, and the fear of losing oneself to something that isn't entirely human. Now, outside everything I just explained to you, there is much more to unpack in this series, and it makes it even more interesting. Listen when I tell you that this is simply scratching the surface. But if you're interested in the lore of the series, I highly recommend you check MatPat's series on it, which will be linked in the description if you want to know more about the lore. And please understand that if you haven't seen the original videos, I highly recommend you check those out as well, because they're very good to go along with the lore, of course. So the question you may now be asking yourself after knowing a little bit about the world of the Mandela Catalogue is, why is it the best analog horror series? The Mandela Catalogue stands out as the best analog horror series because of its masterful blending of psychological terror, innovative storytelling, and immersive atmosphere. Unlike many horror series that rely on jump scares or gore, the Mandela Catalogue taps deep into primal fears, like the fear of the loss of your identity, the paranoia of not knowing who to trust, and the dread of an uncontrollable, distorted reality. Its unique presentation using VHS quality footage, emergency broadcast warnings, and unsettling public service announcements creates a sense of authenticity and immediately pulls viewers into its world. The series leverages the unsettling effects of the Mandela effect, distorted memories, and alternate realities to amplify its themes of confusion and fear. The cryptic and fragmented storytelling, combined with its disturbing imagery and slow building tension, encourages a sense of mystery that keeps the audience on its edge. The inclusion of deeply unsettling entities like the Alternates and the Archangel Gabriel enhances the existence of horror at the core of the series, creating an experience that is intellectually stimulating as it is terrifying. This psychological complexity, paired with the unorthodox narrative structure, makes the Mandela Catalogue the best horror and analog horror altogether. To wrap up, I highly recommend watching the full series, in addition to MatPat's videos on it as well. All of that will be linked in the description if you want to watch it, and if you have any recommendations on future videos or analog horror, please let me know. But yeah guys, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay awesome, God bless, and peace.